Hi, I'm Danielle, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about whatever it is I feel like. And for today, that is books. So, as you can see from my lovely shelf here, I have quite an insane TBR because unfortunately, most of these books on my shelf have not been read. Um, I just enjoy buying books, honestly. Um, my name is Danielle, and I'm a book buying aholic, book buyer aholic. I'm obsessed with buying books. And I've gotten slightly better because there's a secondhand bookstore that's near me that I love going to, but still, I should start, reading some of these lovely books that I buy. Anyway, I have my TBR for July. If I thought of this better, maybe I would have tried to do the little like spinning wheel of prompts or like put it in a jar or something like that, but I feel as though those videos are only entertaining if it's someone who's going to read like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus books. Whereas me, I only have 4 books that are on this list, and I just am like fingers crossing that I read them. So when I was younger, I definitely read a lot more. Like middle school, early high school, I would go to the library, take out a stack of books like this big, and then just read them all and return them in like 2 weeks, it felt. Like I loved reading. And you get older, you get less time to read, and sometimes you just don't have that. You don't read a book that gives you that spark, so then it kind of like discourages you. And also, other things like social media, doom scrolling definitely takes up a fair amount of my time. So does watching Love Island right now. So I haven't been reading as much, but I've been reading a lot more this year, and that's why I have this stack of books that I've decided I want to read this month. Uh, I said there's 4, right? There's only 4. Maybe next time, if I think I could read more, I might want to do a prompt type of situation or spinny wheel or whatever. But for right now, I just picked 3 books that really intrigued me that I bought semi recently, and then 1 book that I'm currently reading. So we'll start with that one actually. The book that I'm currently reading, or my emotional support book in some ways that I keep in my bag with me, as though I'm gonna like have any extra time to just pull it out and read while like waiting in line or something. That is Storm of Secrets and Shadows. I think last time I checked my story graph, I'm like 30% through this book. This is the sequel to Reign of Shadows and Endings, and I really enjoyed that book. I went through that pretty quickly, and I don't know what it is about me trying to read sequels that I just am like, I don't feel like it. Even though I know for most books that I read when I was in my tweens, I definitely like blew through them. Like Hunger Games, Twilight. There was a series that I loved called like the Bloody Jack series about a um teen girl who dressed up as a boy on a pirate ship. Like I loved that series. I read so many of those books. Like I would read series so quickly, but nowadays I don't feel like doing that for some reason. But I already started this one and I do really enjoy it. And the first one had a lot of questions that I'm excited to have answered. So, yes, this is the first book. I'll show you my bookmark too because it's so cute. It's Golden Girls. You can't see it, but on a higher shelf, I have so many Golden Girls like ceramics. Here I have Dumbledore. So, that is definitely a fantasy, an urban fantasy, actually. And these books are all a different genre because I figured maybe the thing that's slumping me is I want to change genres a lot more. So we're changing genres. Did I tell you what the other book was about? Should I tell you what the other book is about? It's a sequel. I'll read what's on the back of it. This is so hectic. Oh my God. In a realm full of secrets, she's collecting them all. A choice to make. Tessalin Osra's fate has always been out of her hands. Still bonded to the heir of ending, she now finds herself with more control than ever before. Everyone wants something from her, and she has to choose a side. But in a realm full of villains, she trusts no one, and she has secrets of her own to keep. A plan to salvage. Control and knowledge have always been Theon St. Orca's greatest weapons, but both have been slipping through his fingers. Given a task by the rulers of the realm, he's racing against the clock to get his plans back on track. But as myths become reality, he finds himself fighting more than time in an effort to keep what's his or lose it all to fury. A fate to alter. Axel St. Orcus has never minded rubbing shoulders with the depraved rather than the elite. It's easier to hide his shame among the corrupt, but with each passing day, he risks triggering a curse and endangering those he cares for most. He'll sacrifice anything to keep them safe, even if that means giving up everything he is. Who will be standing when chaos comes to reign? I don't know if that helped you figure out what is going on in this book, but it's basically about this woman named Tessalyn who is believed to be Fae, and in the first book, basically Fae are bonded to these descendants of the gods as their power source, and these god descendants they grow up their whole lives thinking that this is some great honor that the Fae have, and that they love this bond so much. So when the main man, Theon, when he bonds himself with Tessa, he believes it's going to be this great honor. She's going to love it, but she's fighting him every single step of the way. Along the way, we learn a bunch of things about how she maybe isn't Fae, and a big war could potentially be coming, and she might be the key to it because she has untapped power. So that's the first book. The second book, again, I don't know if that blurb even helped you decide if you want to read this, but so far I'm enjoying this. Next book. Again, I'm trying to switch genres because maybe that'll make me want to find something and hold on to it tightly. But the next one we have is The Duke by Anna Cohen. Secrets, scandal, blackmail, longing. So I've heard about this because I think I saw it on Tumblr. Because yes, I'm one of the few people who is like, Tumblr's my social media site. I was on Twitter for a long time, and then it got to be too much. So Tumblr is probably where I spend 95% of my time at this point when I'm on social media. Because it's a fun one. You can curate it so beautifully and obsess over fandom things. I just love it so much. But yeah, this is supposed to be like a sapphic kind of Regency era type of situation. So of course we're going to read the blurb. All she ever wanted was power. Now all she wants is her. Oh. Kate, Duke of Howard, is known throughout Europe as a merciless autocrat, sorry, not to be crossed. Consumed by a bitter rivalry, she avoids society and has vowed never to trap a woman into marriage with a monster like herself. The beautiful, ambitious courtesan Celine Jeanette once threw herself on the mercy of the visiting Duke of Howard, but after a night of searing passion, the Duke left her to the ravages of revolutionary Paris and didn't look back. Now Celine is in London and in possession of a dangerous letter that proves the Duke of Howard committed treason as a child, possibly even murder. Celine wants a titled husband in return for keeping the Duke's secret, leaving Kate no choice but to parade her around the most fashionable ballrooms. But as Celine takes society by storm, Kate finds herself growing fond of the woman set on destroying her. And as the attraction mounts, Kate faces an impossible choice. Keep her secret or surrender her heart to the woman she can't deny. Oh, that sounds so fascinating. Because it basically seems as though we have this beautiful Duke who had a dalliance with a courtesan, and it didn't end on the best of terms. So I'm very excited. And also the version that I got, oh, it says something on it. Female nobles and the women who love them. But the one I got has sprayed edges. That's not important in the grand scheme of things, but it looks really pretty. So very excited to read this one. Number 3 is by Jodi Picoult, by any other name. You may know her as the author of My Sister's Keeper. But this one, was this another one that I saw on Tumblr? This might have been another one that I saw on Tumblr. So if I'm not on Tumblr getting book recommendations, I follow Rachel Sky Reads, and I get a lot of book recommendations from her, and I buy those books and then don't read them. But yeah, let's read the blurb on this one so we can know more about it. Melina Green has just written a play inspired by the life of her ancestor Emilia Bassano. Aware that female playwrights face an uphill battle to get their work produced, Melina's best friend submits the play to a contest under a male pseudonym. In 1581, young Emilia Bassano is being raised by Elizabethan aristocrats. Her education has sharpened her gift for storytelling, but like most women of her day, she has no outlet for her creativity. Forced to become a mistress to the Lord Chamberlain, who oversees theater productions in England, she begins to form a plan to secretly bring a play of her own to the stage. She will pay an actor named William Shakespeare to front her work. Told in intertwining timelines by any other name, is a sweeping tale of ambition, courage, and desire about two women who are determined to create something beautiful despite the prejudices they face. Why did that word trip me up so bad? Should a writer do whatever it takes to see her story live on, even if it requires erasing herself from history? That sounded so interesting. Like, basically saying William Shakespeare didn't write his stuff and that it was a woman who's like his ghostwriter essentially, and that same thing happening in more present day. That seemed very fascinating. So that's the third book. That's the third book. Both of these, this one and The Duke, seem to be on kind of like historical fiction terms. And I know earlier in the year I read the first 4 Bridgerton books, and that was like, I breezed through those. So I'm hoping that kind of like, lights the fire again. The last book is Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim. The border cuts you in two. So remember when I said that Rachel Sky Reads gives me a lot of recommendations? This is one. So I'm going to read the inside of this. Do you think it's emotionally equivalent to murder? When you immigrate, you leave a copy of yourself behind. In instance, one person enters their new country, the other stays trapped at home. Some instances keep in touch, call each other daily, keep their lives and minds in sync in the hopes of reintegrating and resuming a life as one person. Others, like So Young Rose Kang, leave home at 10 years old and never speak to their other selves again. Rose in America never imagined going back to Korea until her grandfather died. In her Korean instance, So Young called her home for the funeral. She doesn't know that So Young plans to steal her body and her life. How far would you go to live the choice you didn't make? That's so interesting. So, again, this was a TikTok recommendation, and it was described as kind of like not substance, Severance. I'm thinking of The Substance because I'm obsessed with that movie. But this is kind of like Severance, where, in Severance, you kind of have your work persona and your home persona. I'm saying this as though I've seen that show fully. I have not. I've maybe seen maybe the first 10 minutes of it. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by this premise. It seems quite fascinating. And this is definitely a different genre. Kind of. I feel like it'd be a little science fiction-y, a little dystopian, but the premise seemed really interesting and something that'll kind of spark something in me. So those are the 4 books that I plan on reading this month. And yeah, I will check back with you when I finish them. Hopefully I finish them in this month. It's July 1st. So we're off to a good start having these, picked out for me. But yeah, and I think the next thing I'm going to talk about is my watch list. I think that'll be interesting, talking about the movies and TV shows that I plan on watching in July. That one I feel is maybe a little bit more mood dependent. But yeah, because this is an aside, and we're going to talk about it in the TV video that I do eventually, but I really want to watch Interview with a Vampire, but I feel as though I'm not ready for it yet, emotionally. And I know I'm going to love it. I feel it in my heart. You see Midnight Sun right here. I have a soft spot for a vampire. Even the Twilight vampires, I have a soft spot for them. But I just know I'm going to obsess over it. And am I quite ready to obsess over those vampires right now in life? Am I ready for that to take over my life is the real question. I don't know. But I see so many GIFs and videos and pictures and stills on my Tumblr of the vampires in Interview with a Vampire, the new TV series, especially with the Vampire Lestat, I think is how they rebranded the 3rd season. So good. It just seems so good. And I already bought the 2 of the seasons. So what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for the time to be right. Some people are mood readers. I'm a mood watcher. There are some shows that I know I have to put on the shelf to the side because I'm I'm going to love you, but I can't watch you right now. I'm not ready just yet. So that's how I feel about Interview with the Vampire. A question you didn't ask because we're talking about books today. But I hope you enjoyed. even with that little tangent. And I will see you next time to talk about something else that I feel about. Bye.